Shauna Karish here, coming to you from Villanova Training in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I have an Ask Shauna question, and it comes to me from Sage. And Sage says, I'm now wondering, or I'm wondering what to do about my young Mustang gelding who resource guards me from other horses and my husband. He has charged and kicked my husband now once when I was there and once when I was not in the pasture. My husband recently got his first horse and is working her almost every day. I, on the other hand, have recently had a baby, congratulations, and can no longer work my Mustang as consistently or as often as I used to. I have only ever trained him with clicker training, and he's definitely very food motivated, Traxie, but he has 24/7 access to forage. We only ever train in a specific spot in the pasture, and he lives on 40 acres where he runs and plays with his friends 24/7. My husband no longer ever feeds him, and his start button for the session is touching a cone and me wearing my treat pouch. I know he needs me to work with him more often and consistently, but this is a horse that will never say no to a session. He could work all day, every day, and I just haven't had the time. He is not buddies with a new mare, and now he is not friends with my husband either. Looking for advice. Okay, Sage. So yes, you have a little predicament. Okay, and I think this is really an important part that you get, but I think a lot of people don't get. It's not about the food. You know, when positive reinforcement is done well, it is not about the food. And he's a great example. He gets all the food he wants each and every day. He gets all the interactions and running around and social time and freedom and the things are taken care of for him that he should need. So while oftentimes I have to go, okay, management issues would really help remedy this, you're doing the management part. What I think you have is a horse who he loves the positive reinforcement part. He loves the time with you and the relationship you have. He likes to do the sessions. And I've seen this in some horses. Once they get started with the positive reinforcement, they love it, and they just see it and think, this is the best thing ever. I want to do this all the time, every day. It's entertainment for them. It is solving puzzles. It's using their brain, and they like that part of it. So it is environmental enrichment, and so he looks at it and says, this is great. I want to do this. And that's where, you've probably heard of that study that they did in the 60s, and it resulted in a term came out of it called contra freeloading, where they gave animals free food. And they did with different species, and then they gave animals, taught them to hit a lever for food. Then they gave them both levers back, or both options back. And what do you think they tended to do? They tended to go to the lever for food. So there's something in it that is intrinsically reinforcing when it's done well. So I think that is important, and I think that's kind of what your guy is lacking from. And I have seen it with horses that get started when they are little tense after the weekend on the beginning of their first session because they're just so into it, and you're like, relax, it's easy. So we can't always do all that they would like to do. And the truth is life. You have a baby, and it doesn't mean you're not going to get back to your guy, but for this, this seasonal life, he has everything he should need, but he wants more time with you. So boiling it all down, the basic is, so now you're not in there as much. So the resource guarding is probably at a minimum because you are busy doing other things. And so that is not probably your biggest concern, but what is behind that resource guarding is still the same thing. You know what I mean? It's while physically you aren't there, you're not in the pasture doing the whole things, and he's kicked your husband even when you're not in the pasture. So he kind of represents now, that you're hoarding, he's hoarding you or something, that you're not there. So he's kind of feeling frustrated that he's not having the time that he would like to do the training, and so he's kind of putting that energy into different places. So in a nutshell, I look at it and think, and I look at this as horse-to-horse aggression too. It's kind of the same thing. So a horse who whether it's for anxious reasons and fear, or it doesn't matter what the energy is there, but they find it more reinforcing to kick the person, displace the horse, kick the horse, than it is to be with the horse. So trying to build up a better reinforcement history when the person is there. So the presence of the person is not a bad thing, it is a good thing. Now we have, so like with horse to horse, I will have, you know, Murray kind of had issues with it from, I'm sure it's from the racetrack. And so I'd get other horses to get near him, and and had to start far away. But as they get near, I'd reinforce him more and more and more and more. So pretty soon he's like, I like other horses there. But we have another conundrum, because I think he'll get demanding for food from your husband. So I think that if we could get, if there's a way that you could teach a separation while your husband worked with his mare, I think that would be a good thing. And with the separation, so whether it's just making a little temporary paddock or getting those little panels that he could go in for a little while and give him like a hay ball or something that stimulates his kind of his seeking, his problem solving. It gives him something to do. So it creates a better association with when your husband is there and he's working with his horse, but it also creates a bit of a safety there and gives him, you know, because if your husband just feeds him directly, I think he's going to also then he's going to get resource guarding of your husband about his horse, you know, and then you're going to have the same problem. And if he's newer to horses, he may not recognize when frustration is starting to creep in, which can, you know, can result in the same sort of thing, because it's probably frustration which led to some of that behavior. And so I think if you could do a separation and have it be, and like I said, sometimes I'll just get those panels. You can buy them, you know, Tractor Supply or whatever, and they're just metal panels. It could be a temporary thing. You just put them up, put a couple of T-posts in and put them up, and it's a place where he can be, and he can go in there for a little bit just while the sessions are going on, and he can have a place where he can be with his hay ball, and he can do his thing and kind of get something good to happen to help minimize some of his frustration and expectations, because you have clear start buttons. He knows when a beginning of session, start of session is happening, and that's not really, he doesn't care about that. I mean, he cares about the session, but he's like, that, you know, I just want to do something, and here you are, and I want to do it with, you know, preferably my human, but I will, you know, I will entertain myself at your expense too. So if you can get a better association when your husband shows up, but it is also a little bit of a disengaged association. So if there's a way that you could get a bit of a separation, just temporary separation, and give him something to do, and you can just hang, you know, you can get those hay pillows, which are a great thing to have. You could hang a hay net, you could give a hay ball, you could do different things that you're giving him something to interact with and making the separation become a good thing, as well as creating a better association. So without seeing your environment, because that's sometimes I see an environment, I'm like, oh, I know what I'd do this, but I don't know your environment 100% and where, you know, if you have such a place where you can do a separation, or you could, you know, whatever you might be able to do for a little bit, even if you have little stalls or something set up, even though they might not live in stalls, if you put them in there with a hay ball for a little while, it may give him, or other food type of toys, it can oftentimes keep them rather engaged and content while other things are going on, so he doesn't feel that he's missing out. He has his own set of fun things to do that is separate and all his, while other things are going on with your husband and his mare. So I don't know if how much that helps you, but you have done the right thing by his managing him in the environment. It sounds like, to me anyway, he has lots of things to do and lots of room and lots of things, and I think he has learned that I like to interact with the humans, and that's, dang it, I'm going to make him interact with me. And frankly, you know, they is making him interact with him, even if he's hobbling out of there. But I think that that he finds it more reinforcing to do that than to disengage. That's kind of the conundrum. But how do you go about it without creating more focus on your husband and him wanting to now resource guard him? So I'm thinking that utilizing some environmental enrichment, things like hay balls and food puzzles, might be a really good thing to do. Snuffle mats. There's something called there's a great snuffle mat I have out. That's a great and easy thing to put out, and you can kind of put treats down in the snuffle mats. And so I think that's another great way to go, and giving them something to engage with and do, and be able to create a new association and a better pattern, behavior pattern, than what you're seeing now. So you definitely have a tricky one. So I would love to hear from you and how it's going, and if that worked out, or you might be that you have more information that I haven't. You may go, oh, we tried that, or whatever it might be, that will give me more information, and I can maybe have a more precise plan or different ideas that I may think of. But it is a conundrum, and I do appreciate that you've really done it really right for him. They're individuals, and they take it as they will. Anyway, Sage, I hope that helps you, and congratulations on your new baby. And I hope that that gives you some ideas, some food for thought. If you have more questions or more information, you know where to get a hold of me. You just go to shawnakarish.com or vianovatraining.com. You'll find that Ask Shauna tab, and you'll find the form to fill out the question, which you already know because you did. But for those of you that don't know, that's what you would want to do. All right, I hope that helps you, and I look forward to hearing maybe a bit of an optimistic update. Okay, bye for now.